Joining us now is Hussam Ayloush. He is the executive director of the Council on American Islamic Relations in Los Angeles, and he's been close to the family throughout this ordeal. Hussam, thank you very much with us. You know what the concerns are. You know what the fears are. You know what this feeds into. What is the response of the community? We've heard from the attorneys for the family. We know that they are hurt for those who were hurt and taken, and they're hurt for who they lost as well.
Absolutely.
No matter what they did, it was their family. But Muslim may be radicalized. That means terrorist. That means here we go again. What is your response?
Quick things, obviously, being here at this place, just heavy on my heart. Again, expressing my condolences, my heartfelt condolences to the families, to the loved ones of all the injured, all the killed ones. It just, you know, we're all one at this point. You know, we don't look at the religion or the race of the victims. We're all Americans, we're all human beings, and my prayers go to those families and to all those victims. Now, dealing with the shooters themselves, I think it is important, whether we find out, you know, the investigation is still going on. We don't know for a fact what motivated that horrific act. Now, if it turns out radicalization was an act, was a reason behind it, I think we should be very careful not to link religion to it. You know, radicals come in all shapes and forms. Terrorists come in all shapes and forms. We shouldn't link a religion to it, because then we are validating what these terrorists try to do. They try to claim to be representing that religion. We don't call the shooters in Colorado Springs a Christian terrorist. They're terrorists. We don't call them. When the KKK commits crimes, we don't call them Christian terrorists.
I hear you. The investigators are making the same point about not being sure what the direct motivation is, but they're also pointing to radicalization. But here's the pushback. People will say, the bad guy in Colorado may well have been Christian. Maybe he was motivated by a perverse sense of his faith. But you don't hear Christians as often, at least, coming out and saying, I do this in the name of Christianity, the way we seem to experience it with Muslims. And that drives a phobia. What do you say?
Of course, but I mean, we have to put things in perspective. There are 1.6 billion, with a B, Muslims in the world. The number of people who join groups like ISIS, Daesh, you know, Al-Qaeda, is a fraction of a fraction of a fraction of that whole number. When we allow them to hijack the name Islam when they commit their horrific acts, we are doing an injustice, unfair injustice towards the rest of the Muslims who reject such behavior. And we're giving these people credit they don't deserve, because they're claiming to be Muslim, they're claiming to be acting on behalf of Muslims and Islam, and they're not.
You're saying that you're Muslim is not enough. I hear that often from moderate Muslims in this country and around the world. And the task then becomes, well, if this is somewhat of a battle of the soul for your faith about what will define what is Islam, what do you need to do to put down this insurrection on your own faith?
Sure. I mean, let's not forget, as we speak today, ISIS has killed 95% of the victims of ISIS have been Muslim themselves. And let's not forget that at the forefront of fighting ISIS today are the brave Syrian people who are fighting on both fronts. The barbaric regime of Assad and the barbarism of ISIS. So we should give credit when credit is due. We actually have left the Syrian people alone as they fight and in battle with ISIS. And then we complain and say, what are the Muslim people doing to root out terrorism and extremism? Let's not forget that some of our own foreign policy as Americans, as the West, have fueled that extremism. When we support coup leaders in Egypt or other places, when we support dictatorship, repressive regimes around the world that push people over to the edge, then they become extremists, then they become terrorists. We are partly responsible. So terrorism is a global problem, not a Muslim problem, and the solution has to be global. Everybody has a role in it.
What do you make of the criticism of President Obama that he won't say Islamist extreme terror?
I think he's on point, because he understands that we do not need to alienate our allies. The 1.6 billion, for the most part, are on our side as we fight these extremists, these terrorists. Once we start blaming and defaming their religion, our religion, in this case for myself, then we're alienating them. We're pushing them to the edge.
But what if you're precise with it? And instead of saying Islamic, and I know to many people lost as a distinction, but it is a distinction with a difference to those who understand the theology. Not Islam extremism, if you don't like that, but Islamism, Islamist extreme terror or radicalization. That would be accurate theoretically and theologically, right?
No, it wouldn't be. Because
why not?
Islamism is an adjective of Islam, basically. Basically, we're linking it to Islam, and Islam is not...
But that would be wrong, because Islamism is its own aspect of the faith that is more extreme, that is dated in its way, and it can have non-extreme and extreme forms. And that is, according to many theologians and experts, that is the category that these bad guys deserve to be in.
I would still disagree for many reasons, because again, there's no way to separate. Once you use the word Islam, or try that with Judaism, you'll see. Try that. I think most of us have become desensitized when it comes to Islam. We think we can separate. We cannot.
So as soon as you say the word Islam, you're saying you're coloring the whole. Exactly.
So what we need to do is continue. I mean, that's one of the reasons many have called, instead of calling ISIS, which claims to be the Islamic State, instead of calling it ISIS,
call it Daesh.
Call it Daesh. And if they catch you in Syria or Iraq calling them Daesh, they will actually kill you, because they know you're preventing them from what they falsely claim.
But in truth, the problem with these guys is they'll kill you for anything, which is one of the reasons that we're all so scared. This conversation is an important one to have.
Absolutely.
And needs to happen in many different ways and different forums. Thank you for having it with us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sorry it's under these circumstances, but it's a conversation to have.
Thank you.